Two.
Oh shoot. Oh shoot. It didn't even make a
All
noise.
right. I know it never does. I always do this and it never
Yeah.
makes a noise. It just goes.
Yeah.
People can't hear the clap.
The invisible clap.
All right. You know what it is. You know who it is. We are back with another episode of the BG Perform podcast. Back with my freshly trimmed co-host,
Look at that. Look at that.
Gerald
Gray is
Hayes.
coming in nice. Got the Omni-Man look going. It's gonna be good.
He's always had gray hairs. He looks like a
Yeah.
he's gonna look like a he's gonna be a good looking uh what would we say, middle-aged man.
I already am.
Well, I know, but I'm saying like
No,
when
no.
you have the
Yeah,
full
I
grain.
first gray hairs at 14, you know. So it's just one of those things. Like everyone in my family goes gray really early.
Yeah.
So obviously keeping that trend going, but beard staying strong, mustache staying strong as far as the dark colors, besides the very light blondes that come across as gray. But we're gonna be
It's
a
like
silver
me as a
fox. I'm looking forward
it's
to it.
like me as a ginger. 'Cause I'm not a ginger. I just have a red beard.
There's a I forgot what it
Yes, say
was.
it,
It's like a
please.
genetic thing.
Yes, say it.
Yeah,
Let's hear it.
I
Say it.
forgot what it was, but it's brown hair,
One in
red
every
beard.
four men. One in every four men have red beards or red
Yeah,
hair in their beards. But people continue to say that I'm a ginger. This is not the
yeah, you're
case.
not a ginger. I've seen
Not a
Brandon's
ginger.
hair. It's very brown.
You've seen all of the hair. It is
All
not
the
red
oh,
hair.
even the unwanted ones.
All
No,
right, so
yeah,
today,
Brandon's a brown hair, red beard. He's got it going.
exactly,
No ginger.
exactly.
Not that there's
The
anything
carpet
wrong
does
with the
not
gingers.
match the drapes.
Yes.
I think that's
Yeah.
how it goes, right?
Wait.
Wait,
Rephrase it.
wait.
Wait.
So today we're going to be talking about the most overrated things in fitness. If you are someone who, I think if you're someone who trains regularly, this is a topic that is can be controversial. And I think
Mhm.
that there are a lot of things that go into being overrated, right? The famous Jay-Z line, would you rather be overpaid or underrated? I think I'd rather be overpaid, to be honest. But I think
Yeah.
that I think that there are a lot of things in fitness that are overrated. I think there's a lot of things that aren't necessary. I think there's a lot of things that if we really break down, you know, what we absolutely need to be successful in the gym, I think that a lot of these things probably wouldn't be on the list. And Jerry made a really good list today to talk about, which I am super excited about because, like I told him before, I think there's a couple things in here that we're going to disagree on slightly. I
I
don't. I think
think
when
that
we.
when you hear the reason why I wrote it, you'll be like, "Oh, okay, no, that makes sense."
That's what I'm
Like,
saying. I haven't. We haven't. He wrote the list. I'm just kind of like reacting to the list with him,
yeah.
and I think there's some things. Like I said, I think there's going to be some things that we disagree on slightly. But I think once we actually like sit down and talk about what the disagreement is, I don't think it's going to actually be that big of a disagreement. Does that make
No, I
sense?
don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think it just
All
seems
right.
like it on paper, quote unquote
Yeah.
paper.
So most overrated things. What goes in my head first is like, what are the things we absolutely don't need in fitness, right? What are some of the things that you get pushed on? What are some of the things that you get sold on or you've been told are 100% necessary to get gains inside the gym? Now, I want to say to a fault, I've broken fitness down so much to like such a basic standpoint to understand it that like outside of the main movements that I know work, I have such a hard time doing other stuff that I know is like not efficient or not effective and
Or
like
more
biomechanics.
accessory. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've been trying to be really good about being more open-minded, let's say, in the gym space, more progressive in the gym space, and understanding that there's a lot of stuff that does work very well, although it may not be biomechanically friendly. There is
Mhm.
stuff that works and that is fun. Kind of reminded me recently, because me and my friend were talking about how, you know, we've been following like a program pretty consistently for the last, I don't know, say 3 to 4 months, and there's just some stuff that we do that we're just like, we'll just keep it simple, right? But we used to come into the gym with like a muscle farm workout that used to be like 10 by 10 German volume training for 5 exercises. And we were just like, yeah, that's
8
sick.
sets of eight front squat.
We would just be totally okay with it. But so I want to start to dive into this. When we talk about most overrated things in fitness, like there's a lot that comes to my mind, but what I want to say by overrated, again, just kind of define this as a term, and I want you to define it too, just so we're on the same page. But like
Mhm.
overrated just means that to us, it's not absolutely necessary in the grand scheme of things. Although it may be useful, there can be like mixed reviews on how useful it actually is, because I already see the first one, and I've been saying this for years. I've been saying this for years for the first thing you wrote on this list. But basically, something that is pushed as like this huge, X factor inside of fitness, but isn't ever doesn't ever give you that it's like a letdown, a disappointment, essentially,
Yeah.
with the amount of things put people into it. But go ahead. I want you to define overrated for people listening.
How I look at overrated is people treat it as it is essential. So all the things on this list, people are like, this is like a gym bro, a typical gym bro that you could picture in your head would say, this is what you need to do. These are the things you need to be successful. But the amount of return that you get for doing these things isn't as, like you said, it's a letdown. It's not
Yeah,
exactly what
like
you would hope
if I
from
could
it.
if I could express it in the best way, it's like In-N-Out. In-N-Out is super overrated, one of the most overrated places
Yes.
on the planet.
Yes.
And it is so bad. The fries are never crispy.
Oh, it's
The
not
cheese is always
so bad.
plasticky. There's never enough meat on your burger unless you get a triple, whatever the hell it's called. It's just the only thing it's got going for it is that it's cheap. Shake Shack, 100%. Shake
Five Guys
Shack
burgers
is
and fries. Hundo P.
exactly.
You're going to be
Yeah,
emptying your
exactly.
wallet, but it's worth it. But I will say, before we get off of the In-N-Out thing, it's what makes it overrated is not the quality of what you can get, but it's the consistency and quality. It's the vegetables being cold and the meat being like cold because the vegetables are cold, or like the lack of toppings and the fries feeling like they're fucking MREs for the
Like,
military, that
yeah.
type of stuff. So
But
like,
that's what we're talking about
yeah,
here. That
same
type of
thing,
thing,
but
right?
fitness now.
So number one on this list, cold plunge.
Yes.
For me, cold plunge has been something that I've never been a fan of. I don't like ice. I stay away from it unless you're like in dire need. Anybody who comes to me saying, "Oh, I should ice it," I usually, oh, Jerry went black.
Well, my battery died.
All
Hold on,
right, well,
I'm
we're
gonna get
good.
a charger.
I'm talking anyways. So cold plunge is one of those things where, as I've always been in the fitness industry, really I kind of came into the industry at a time where like ice started to kind of get questioned, and it started to almost get questioned in a way where people were like, "Hey, is ice really that effective?" Right? And then there was always like, the saying where the guy who invented the rice method, the rest, ice, compress, elevate theory, said it was wrong. And I think that cold plunging and ice gets this thing of being like this healer of all things and this decreaser of inflammation and this one-stop shop to just fix your body. And I've never been a fan of it. I've never thought it was that effective, and there's a lot of things coming out now that prove it's not that effective. There's a lot of information coming out that icing, while icing does help the body, while it does decrease inflammation, it's also not 100% necessary unless it's debilitating pain, right? And we need to understand that a lot of the processes that along or go on in our body when it comes to injury, when it comes to sprains, when it comes to strains, things like that, like the body creates inflammation for a reason, and that's to get blood, plasma, nutrients, everything to the muscle so it can start to heal, right? And I think the way that a lot of people go about this stuff is obviously you don't want to just sprain your ankle and then go into movement, right? But you also don't like every time you put ice on an area, if it's not like absolutely bothering you or causing you debilitating pain, you're actually slowing down the healing process, right? And I know they talk about endorphins and things like that, and I'm not going to dive into the science because I don't 100% know the science, but all I know is that cold plunges are not as effective as they say, and in my book, they are stamped with the BG Perform overrated logo. Actually, no, they are stamped with the BG Perform overrated.
I agree. I'm assuming you mentioned the whole rice thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So just to double on that, when I was in the exercise science program, we had to take a course called Theory of Athletic Injury, and these our professors were the athletic trainers of the school. So as we were going through this unit of rice, they said, know this for the exam because they're going to test on it that you rest, ice, compress, elevate. He was like, we do not use that when we are on the field. It's not something we do. It's not something that works. And it's one of those things where if it hurts, ice it. But the other thing I will say, the one thing you can get from doing the cold plunges is that whole like nervous system response, the fight or flight thing, which is like, yeah, great. You can work on like your ability to combat stressors. But workouts also do that because in general, you're less stressed out when you're working. You get the endorphins flowing, that whole thing.
Sleep
So,
also does that.
what'd you say?
Sleep also does.
Yeah, sleep, one of those things. And that's what, at the end of the day, like that's what we are mainly saying. Overrated is people are doing the things that will try to get them quick results, but require as little work as possible. But they'll ignore the things that are proven to work, like sleep and eating properly. So,
Yeah. Now, yeah, so I think that's a big one. I think the next one, sauna, I actually disagree with. I think saunas are still underrated in the world of fitness. I think there's a
mhm.
lot of benefits that can come from saunas. I think that I don't know if you listen to Huberman at all, but he's been a big advocate for saunas and how they actually help increase muscle mass after training. So like if you go through a big strength training session and you hop into the sauna for 30 minutes after, this is a Huberman stat, not mine, that the growth hormone in your body is increased like threefold or something like that. So basically what happens is like once you lift, you get into the sauna and if you stay in there for at least 30 minutes, it reacts something in your body that releases growth hormone, which then kind of causes this like catalyst of other things that go on in the body to repair muscle. And it happens at a much more effective rate with a sauna. I also think saunas are very effective in just helping people sweat because, I was just thinking about this earlier. Like, there's some people who don't ever like sweat, and sweating is a very healthy thing. It's something that we need to do, and it's something that like our body needs to I don't want to say
It's
like
crucial for
practice. Like,
temperature regulation.
yeah, but
It's
we
like a
need
healthy
to,
thing to be able to do.
yeah, we need to be able to do it. And I think some people just never are in positions where they, one, have to sweat, or two, try to sweat. And I think sweating is a very healthy and natural thing that the sauna can help us do, relatively simple, right? Along with the benefits of heat acclimation, along with the benefits of heart rate inside of the sauna. Like there's a lot of benefits that come along with that process that I think are so beneficial, which in my mind would make the sauna underrated inside of fitness.
I agree, but only when everything else is in place. Because this is one of my biggest pet peeves because I started using the sauna recently and I've found a lot of benefits from it. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time using the sauna, but when I have clients who are struggling to hit their water intake for the day, and they're constantly dehydrated. They're always cramping because they're not getting their electrolytes in and they're not fueling themselves. And I have to have this discussion with them all the time. And after a session, they say, "All right, I'm gonna go use the sauna." I want to just break everything around me because it's like you're not doing the things that you need to do. Like if you're gonna hydrate afterwards and you refill those cells with water, wonderful. That's great. You're gonna get all the things you need,
Or
all the stuff that
I
Huberman
want to go
talks
stop
about.
in the sauna. I'm going to lose 2 pounds in the sauna, and then they think they lost weight. Like
Oh
that's
my
yeah,
God. That is my biggest pet peeve. I, I I've I won't talk about that. Basically, what I will say is all the stuff that Huberman says is like great. I love that it's research based, but when you're not refueling and rehydrating afterwards, you might as well have just not done the sauna at all or not even worked out for that day because your muscles and basically everything that you worked for that day, if you don't rehydrate, it's not going to get the nutrients that it needs. All of the cells, especially the muscle fibers, will not be able to absorb everything that you've lost, which will in turn result in lack of recovery and maybe even what's the word I'm looking for? It starts with a D. Diminishing returns from what
uh,
you've done for the day.
so the only thing I'll say is we didn't even start a timer, but the only thing I'll
That's
say
all
is
right.
um, I think that that is more of a person problem than it is a sauna problem. That's
Yes,
why I
so
don't
that's why
think it.
there's an asterisk next to it. I didn't write the asterisk,
Yeah,
but in my head there was an asterisk when I
yeah,
wrote it, which was
but
another
yeah.
reason why I
So
was like, yeah, I think you think that we're gonna disagree on stuff, but I think we're right there when you hear the
yeah.
reasoning. Yeah.
Good. So those are two, right? Those are two big ones.
Hmm.
Next, we got. I'm gonna put these all in one because again, I don't. This is there's actually three things I kind of disagree with on this list, but I'm gonna throw this in there.
You'll hear my
Belts,
reasoning.
straps, and gym bag essentials, right?
Hmm.
Personally, I don't use them often, right? But I have been belts are something that I don't think people lift heavy enough anyways to actually utilize a belt, and not a lot of people actually know how to use a belt,
Hmm.
which is something that obviously takes away from the experience of a belt. A belt is to increase intra-abdominal pressure, which is basically as you breathe in this thing called the Valsalva maneuver, right? Like this is if you're going like you're holding your breath and you just squeeze your abs, right? Like the belt basically helps increase that intra-abdominal pressure and helps you expand a little bit more and keeps your spine in a safe position. Now, that's really important if you're lifting super heavy. But again, not when you're benching 135 pounds. It's
Yeah.
like
People who
there's
are doing like upper body movements with their belt on while sitting down, I'm like, oh no.
it's funny because I saw this there's this dude at the gym that I go to, I hope he's okay, but I used to see him wear a
Oh
belt for
God. When
I
you
used to see
start it with,
him
I hope he's okay.
well, I'll get there. Uh, I've been seeing him work out for like months, and like the shit I see him do, I'm just kind of like me and Nick are sometimes just like, oh, bro, like
Should we
what is
say
he doing?
something?
Like,
Like,
yeah, just like simple stuff where it's just like instead of doing like just a squat, he's like doing a squat with like a heavy 45-pound plate and like throwing it out at the bottom when he's getting there and keeping it up over his head when he's like something stupid like that. But anyways, and he always wore a belt for everything. Like the moment he walked into the door, he had a belt on, and the moment he left, the belt was still on. So this about 2 weeks ago, I noticed I hadn't seen the guy, and he was walking in with a limp and a whole fucking like ACL thing on his knee type
oh
deal,
no.
like those mechanical like braces.
Yeah. Yeah, the
He's
black
walking in, he's
braces
just
that wrap
limping
around the
across the
thigh and
gym.
the
He's just
calf.
slowly limping. You just see his head kind of tilt to the side every time he walks. And I'm just like, God damn, man, like you just couldn't learn. Like
I
just
don't have a
take
limp. That's my gun walk. Just like
like just take the belt off and learn how to use your core. I think up to a certain point, right? Like belts are something that I would say are slightly overrated because I think we need to learn how to use our body. But again, like if you've learned and you utilize them in the right way, belts can be super effective to give you that 5 extra pounds, right? But again, if you're a power lifter, if you're really like if your sport is lifting heavy weight, then I would say a belt is useful. But I think outside of that, I can agree to a certain extent that it is overrated in the general scheme of things, right?
yeah, yeah. I think most of the things on this list are absolutely helpful if you're doing all the right things. A belt being one of them. If you're gonna be lifting really heavy, you're going for that 1 RM and you're like, "Ugh, dude, let me grab the belt just in case." Great. That's awesome. But like you said, it's the misuse of the equipment that makes it like overrated. So like you have the
Yeah.
guy who's using it for a deadlift, like an RDL that he could easily do without a belt on, and the belt is loose, so you know he doesn't know how to use the belt, like that type of thing.
Yeah.
Overrated. Like just get
Yeah.
rid of it. Save yourself money.
Yeah, and the same thing with straps. Like I think straps, and let's just again, we can throw this in with I think honestly all of this. Like I don't
Yeah.
think they're overrated entirely, but I think that you need to be one lifting enough, and two, you want to work on your grip, right? The
Mm-hmm.
moment we want to use straps is if the grip is getting in the way of actually getting stronger, right?
Yep.
But up to a certain point, we still want to train the grip and get stronger, right? I just had this conversation because I've been most of my clients are female that I deal with in person, right? And a lot of them have been having grip trouble lately, but they're strong. Like a lot of them have like very like women are very strong in the lower body. Like a lot of them are very even with men in regards to like pound for pound body weight for legs. The upper
Mm-hmm.
body is where it's like about a third of the strength of men, like overall in regards to absolute strength. So women can most of the time like deadlift and squat a decent amount of weight. But when it comes to, rowing or, farmers carries or, even like deadlifting and things like that, like the grip gives out first.
Mm-hmm.
So what we want to do is we want to utilize those straps on the heaviest sets when it's going to get in the way and we know we have 10 to 15 pounds because a lot of the times like in a deadlift for a woman the grip might give out and they might have another 15 pounds for 5 reps, which is like you're taking away a lot if you're not doing that set properly, right? And that's when straps can come into play. That's when gym bag essentials can come into play. But again, like I've been training for over 10 years. I I haven't brought a bag. I bring a bag to the gym with like a couple bands because I train people and I use the bands for that. But outside of straps, I don't think I've had like a gym bag essential that I've used inside a workout in the last like 2 years. So it's just like they're not, I do think they're overrated. And I do think that they come with a asterisk of if you're at a certain point, they can be very useful, but realistically, anything above that, they're just not necessary.
Yeah, the I will say if you can't farmer carry your body weight on a trap bar for 30 seconds, the last thing you should be worried about is using straps on your very first lifts of the day. Like that's the
Yeah.
bottleneck. Every pulling movement you do, your forearms are going to be the bottleneck in what you do, especially for lower body. So just build up the forearm strength. Obviously, utilize the straps when you need to.
Mhm.
Need, not want to, or like, oh, I think I'll throw them on. When you need the straps, when you can't hold on to that bar or the dumbbell,
Exactly.
use the straps.
Exactly.
But
I
besides
agree.
that, overrated. Like you see bros will just walk around with them and they won't take them off their wrist and they just
Yeah,
wear it and they got the strap just dang. Oh my God. It's a punchable thing. It's a very
it
punchable
is.
thing.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw the next two in the same category as well because I
Yep.
think it is a supplement. But
Yep.
this is one I disagree with caffeine, but supplements, we had this conversation. We had a whole podcast about why we think they're overrated, but we're
Hmm.
throwing them in anyways because this is part of the list. Supplements, again, like kind of like cold plunges, kind of like saunas, kind of like everything else we're describing as like if you're at a certain point in your life and you have your nutrition on lock and you have your sleep on lock and you have your, you know, mental health on lock and you have a lot of these things on lock, then it's like, hey, we could look at those little fine details or the sprinkles on top, right? But caffeine intake is one of those things where it's just like there's nothing like a white monster in the morning before you get a sick, nasty pump in.
Yeah.
150 milligrams of elixir runs through your veins and you just, ugh,
Hold me now.
there's something
I'm
about it. Like
6 feet from the
literally.
end. Fucking
No, but I
Creed
think
just
that like
blasting.
I think that caffeine intake I don't want to say it's overrated because I don't think it's over. I think it's properly rated. I don't know if you've ever like seen that. It's like underrated, overrated, or like properly
Properly
rated. I
rated.
think
Yeah.
caffeine is like properly rated, but it's abused consistent.
Yes. That's
I think
that's where I'm
caffeine
gonna
is very
challenge you on it.
effective.
Yeah.
I think caffeine is very effective. I think it's needed. I think that like, you know, even I think it can give you that extra bit, right? And I think that it can really when you're not feeling it, I think it can get you through those days where you're like, "Ugh, I'm really not feeling it, right? But I will agree it can be severely overused.
Yeah. It's most of the time it is overused. And I look at supplements where, so there's a study that they looked at the big three and caffeine intake, and they did a 600 milligram dose before hitting your lifts. And it was proven by that study. Obviously, this is one study. I didn't get to see the sample size or anything, so I don't know the validity of it. But it was shown that that 600 milligram dose, which is fucking out of this world, like 400 is considered high in a supplement, and they were doing 600 in a lab. It was shown to highly affect the weight that was pushed or pulled in those lifts. But again, like if you're not sleeping at night because you're lifting at 6:30 p.m. and you're having 300 milligrams of caffeine for that
Yeah,
lift
that's
and you don't
fine.
leave the gym, like that's going to affect everything else. And you're just going to end up abusing that caffeine more because it's a positive feedback loop. You're more tired the next day from the lack of recovery. So you have more caffeine. That caffeine keeps you up, affects your sleep. Even if you're falling asleep, you don't sleep as deeply or as well. And then it continues to affect you. But a monster early in the morning. We're talking like when you wake up and you smell the cold air outside and you know it's going to be a warm day, but it just hasn't heated up yet because the sun's still down. And you crush a 3D, a monster, a ghost, just three of my favorites there. It hits different. It does
Special
get you
day.
going.
Special fucking day.
It gets you
I saw
going.
this Instagram reel where a guy was like it said like this at 3 a.m. and it was like a frozen. block of Monster that he put in a cup and then poured Monster on top of the frozen block of Monster.
So the monster was its own ice? That's
Just
wonderful, dude.
unfreezing into more Monster.
That's great.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
So with that one, there's definitely the little caveat there is obviously it could be useful to use the caffeine. It's been proven as a stimulant to help you in the gym. There are also studies that show that the it doesn't really change the effect of the lift. You may feel a lot going into it, and you're like, yeah, I'm ready. I feel strong, but then the lifts don't change much. So there's a lot to look at when you're looking at caffeine, but overall, it's abused and overrated in that sense. But if you like a good crackhead energy type of monster feeling that you get from energy drink, go for it,
Exactly. Like a
Go
white
for it.
Monster, it's like, do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Yeah.
And I'm not talking about my bicep when I say white monster. Look at that
Yeah, I
thing.
think like I said, I think that there's a lot of things we can name that are overrated, right? And I think if we
Yeah.
really broke down this list, we'd be here for 10 hours. There's
Literally
one more I want
forever.
to add to this list.
Hmm.
One more. And I'm calling everybody out who does it. High rocks. Overrated.
Yes. Dude, it's been
Overrated.
blowing up. I see it everywhere.
I can't use the word on here because I don't want to get us banned, but it's a version of CrossFit that is not. I've said it before, but
I'm trying
it's
to think of what it
it's
is.
a wannabe CrossFit. It's CrossFit's way cooler. CrossFit's way better. CrossFit is just High Rocks is just it ain't it. And I think that like everybody jumping on the train, like to me it's like I think High Rocks is cool. Like I think it's all right, and I think if people are crushing it, but like to me, it's overrated because if you go outside of the workout that they have now, you're just trying to be CrossFit. Like like High Rocks is it's cornered itself into a single workout that I met the guy. I know the guy. Like I'm actually like I talk to the guy sometimes who has the world record for High Rocks. It was like 48 minutes and like 49 seconds or some shit like that. Insane. Dude's a savage. His name's Michael oh, what's his last name? I have to figure out his last name, but dude's a savage, right? Like, how much quicker are you getting than that? Like, it's just like, what else are you gonna do? Like, everybody else is just kind of fighting for second place at this point. Like, even if you do, it's gonna be like a second. It's gonna end up being like the 100-meter sprint. It's like, how much faster can you actually get at this thing? Because there's dedicated movements, there's dedicated distances. Like, you really like there's only so much you can change in a wall ball. There's only so much you can change in a run. There's only so much you can change in like a farmer's carry to get faster at it without cheating. And I think that the sport as a whole, if you want to call it that, is overrated. And I think that like everybody who's doing it now is jumping on it with this expectation of kind of it being something. I don't know if they think it's better than CrossFit. I don't know, but obviously CrossFit took a
I think
hit
it's just
when
new. It's
it
just
might
new.
just be no. And I think
Yeah.
CrossFit kind of ran its course after like the whole Glassman thing and when he got bounced from CrossFit and then obviously they took a hit and a lot of people like canceled the CrossFit thing and they just started calling it like functional fitness and whatever. But I think overall I think that High Rocks is severely overrated. I think it's something that yeah, I don't know. I'm just not gonna hate on it too much, I guess, but I think it's overrated.
I think it has a cool name, and that's why people want to do it. They're like, High Rocks, what is that? Sounds like some
Yeah,
Terminator stuff. And
yeah,
it's catchy. Like most things in fitness that are overrated, it's just catchy. It's something
yeah,
that everything is a fad, everything is promised to help you a ton, and it's just catchy.
yeah. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's anything else. Is there any other fitness things on your
Dude, we
mind
could
that
do
you
a
think
part
are
two because
overrated?
we nailed all those, and I'm sure,
Yeah,
like you
maybe
said,
we
we
could
could be
dig a
here
little bit
forever.
deeper. Yeah. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you want to throw in overrated outside of fitness?
Outside of
Maybe we could,
fitness?
yeah, anything you think is overrated?
Well, I mean, we talked about in and out.
In and out. Yeah, in and out's earlier.
Um, dude, I feel like there's
I feel like
probably like a
Twilight's
movie or
super
TV show.
overrated.
Oh yeah, dude, Twilight's
Harry
garbage.
Potter. Harry Potter is one of
See,
the most
I stand
overrated
by that.
movie
Harry Potter
series
is great because I
of all
grew up with
time.
it. It's
Harry
it's the
Potter's overrated.
experience. It's the experience. Did you watch the movies like every time when they came out?
Yeah, no, I watched them after. I watched them very late in life.
So if you watch them late in life, it's a little different. I'll say that that's understandable. Like for
Overrated.
me, Dylan's birthday is in November. One of my best friends back in Rochester, New York, and Harry Potter released around that time every year. So for his birthday, whenever a new Harry Potter came out, we went to the movies, we saw it, we made a big event of it. It was fun. And obviously, like we were the same ages as the characters when it was released. So that was like huge because everyone on screen is your age, and that's just not a thing that happens a lot. So
Yeah,
for me, I'm going to challenge you on that. Say it's not overrated, but it's overrated dependent on your experience while watching it and how old you were while watching it. And
makes
if you
sense.
read the books, that type of thing too.
Yeah, I didn't read the books. I just watched the movies because
I
I
read a
wasn't
few
a
of them
reader.
like out of
I wasn't
order.
a reader back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
There's got to be some other stuff though.
I hope
We
that
can make a
offended you in
full
some
thing.
capacity.
What?
I hope that offended you in some capacity. Because if we
Yeah,
didn't,
absolutely. Yeah. If you want
I
to
hope
fight us
that.
for it, our DMs are open. So like, just let us know.
No, but I think, like I said, I think that
I like my
understanding.
straps. I
I
like
think
them.
understanding what's overrated in fitness isn't a personal thing, right? I just think it's
Yeah.
really kind of looking at the nuts and bolts of what's necessary inside of here and what we don't really need. I think that a lot of the stuff, again, we've prefaced this by saying it is useful in a certain capacity, right? And
Hmm.
it's always going to be in that certain capacity. While I enjoy a sauna session, while I enjoy straps and I enjoy belts and I love caffeine, it all has a time and a
Yeah.
place, right? But I think that it's overrated, and I think that I think it's very important to have this conversation because I think realistically there's a lot of things that could be overrated in fitness, but
Hmm.
I think that like if you really think about it, these kind of outlier concepts or methods or modalities are what tend to kind of draw like how would I word this? Like tend to be that thing that show like this is overrated, this is the line. Like I think kind of like that belt sauna strap gin bag essential thing is like the start of overrated. But we could definitely go into like a movement that maybe that's what we can do next is like, a movement overrated
Yeah, exercises are
section.
overrated. I'm 100% in. I already have something I'll say.
All right, cool. Perfect.
Already know.
Well, I hope you guys took away something from this. If you have anything that you believe is overrated, underrated, perfectly rated, leave it in the comments. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in. And we will see you guys next time. Peace.